Yusuf Ibrahim is duplicated. Please, clerk, take note and remove one. Page 58. Page 58. Page 59. Okay. Honorable Suleiman Dawa.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, sir. On 59, under question put and agreed to resolve is to resolve, not to resolve.
Okay.
Yes.
Clerk, take note, please. Page 60.
I think the same correction on page 59 is equally on page 60. Question put and agreed to resolve.
I think it's correct, Sulaiman. It's correct. Yeah, it's past tense. Page 60. Page 60. Page 61. Page 61. Motion for adoption. Honorable Yusuf Limandayo.
Mr. Speaker, sir. My respected colleagues, my name is Honorable Yusuf Limandayo. I represent Mekere constituency. I rise to move that the vote and proceeding of 20th October 2019 to be presented as corrected. I so move.
Thank you very much, Honorable Yusuf Limandayo. Honorable Amin Muhammad Rahman. Okay.
Mr. Speaker, sir. Honorable colleagues, I support the motion for the adoption of this proceedings as amended.
Thank you very much. The votes and proceedings of Thursday, 3rd October 2019 is hereby adopted as corrected. Order of the day, Mr. Clark. The summation of his
Mr. Speaker, sir, honorable members, item number 3, order of the day. Presentation of year 2020 budget of the government of Kaduna State by Her Excellency Dr. Hadiza Sabuwa Balarabe, the Deputy Governor of Kaduna State. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Clark. Sergeant at Arms. Is the Deputy Governors around?
Yes, sir.
Okay, please. Majority Leader and the Chief Whip should lead the Deputy Governor into the chamber. Okay. And the acting governor. The acting governor should lead the acting governor to the chamber, please.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us. We are live here at Lugat Hall, Kaduna, where proceedings are already on the way. The Deputy Governor of the state is here representing Governor Malam Nasir El-Rufai to present the 2020 budget. The Speaker himself has been around. In fact, proceedings has already begun. They have started moving motions from representatives from the 23 local government areas of the state. And then here, my name is Abdullah Mohammed with the crew here. We'll be here until we give you details of the budget of 2020 of Kaduna State, which is going to be presented here by the Deputy Governor Hadiza Balarabe. And I think already she's at the podium. Let's begin to listen to what she's going to say.
Honorable Speaker, Principal Officers of the Kaduna State House of Assembly, Honorable Members of the Kaduna State House of Assembly, Members of the Kaduna State Executive Council, Permanent Secretaries, Clerk of the House, Gentlemen of the Press, Ladies and Gentlemen. Permit me to begin by thanking this Honorable House for granting us permission to present the 2020 draft estimates of revenue and expenditure of the Kaduna State Government. We apologize that we had to reschedule this presentation from Friday, 11th October 2019 to enable us to expose the draft estimates to public scrutiny and consultation. I'm pleased to report that this culminated in the town hall meeting we held on Saturday, 12th October 2019, while this Honorable House was finalizing its retreat on the medium-term expenditure framework and the budget process. Mr. Speaker, our honorable members, it is my singular honor and pleasure as the acting governor of the state to present the estimates of revenue and expenditure for the 2020 fiscal year to this Honorable House for consideration. Following the budget town hall meeting, the draft estimates have been adjusted accordingly. Mr. Speaker, I recall with gratitude the productive partnership between the Kaduna State House of Assembly and the executive branch during our first term. During the second term, we look forward to an even more robust relationship with the current House of Assembly in the service of our people. This seamless cooperation and collaboration between the executive and the legislature enabled the early presentation and enactment of the appropriation bills of 2016, 2017, 2018, and 2019 into law, well before the end of the preceding fiscal year. This has placed us on a unique position among the states in Nigeria for achieving full alignment of the calendar and fiscal years over 4 consecutive budget cycles. I want to congratulate the House and our ministries, departments, and agencies for setting an example of how the different arms of government should work. Budgeting as a tool for change, 2015 to date. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, permit me to offer a recap of the perspectives and priorities that have dictated our budgets since our first term. Working with this House, we launched a legislative agenda to institutionalize reforms in public finances, procurement, taxation, child welfare and protection, amongst others. We signaled early our commitment to promote equality of opportunity through accelerating human capital development while striving to reduce inequality and ensure fiscal viability. We took steps to reduce waste and tackle fraud by verifying the nominal role and payroll of our workers and pensioners. We made clear that our commitment to realizing progressive outcomes for our people will not fritter resources on sterile populism. Accordingly, we stopped government sponsorship of religious pilgrimages, reduced ministries from 19 to 14, and appointed fewer commissioners and other aides than ever in the recent history of governance in the state. The Kaduna State APC administration signaled its commitment to collective responsibility and sacrifice right from its inauguration on May 29, 2015. You would recall that the then Deputy Governor, Architect Barnabas Yusuf Bala, and the Governor, Nasir El-Rufai, committed to and ensured the donation of half of their salaries and allowances to the Treasury until the state's internally generated revenues cover our recurrent expenditure or exceed federal allocations to the state. Our public office holders made similar and personally affordable sacrifices throughout the last 4 years. We thank them for their committed service. By the time we presented the draft 2016 budget of sacrifice, restoration, and change to this Honorable House in October 2015, we had adopted zero-based budgeting and implemented the Treasury single account. We had also declared a state of emergency in the education sector to enable us to begin the huge task of making the 4,250 primary schools and over 500 government secondary schools fit for our children. In our first week in office, we were shocked and disheartened to learn that at least 50% of the school pupils sat on floors because there was no adequate school furniture. We had also announced a program for reducing maternal and infant mortality through enhanced and focused investments in the revamp of the broken primary healthcare system we inherited. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, permit me at this point to review some of the things we accomplished in the service of our people in the first term. Propelled by a desire to advance social justice and promote equal opportunity for all citizens, our Pro-Poor Trust was integrated into the core priorities of government through the State Development Plan 2016 to 2020 and the sector implementation plans derived from the SDP by our MDAs. We developed and launched a long-term infrastructure master plan and a blueprint for the industrialization of Kaduna State to complement the SDP and the revision of the Kaduna Master Plan. We organized 4 successful economic summits that helped attract more than $500 million of job-creating foreign and domestic investments into the state. We secured for Kaduna State the World Bank ranking as the #1 place for ease of doing business in Nigeria from the 21st position out of the 36 states and FCT in 2014. We initiated a totally free basic education regime in all our schools and prohibited the collection of even PTA levies by headmasters and principals, saving parents about $3 billion per annum. We've implemented a primary school feeding program, doubled school enrollment, and launched an extensive program to renovate primary and junior secondary schools and supply them with furniture, water, and sanitation facilities. We took the necessary but painful actions to ensure that only qualified teachers are in our public primary schools. We recruited 25,000 new qualified primary school teachers. We also had over 2,500 teachers of English, mathematics, science, and ICT for our secondary schools. We rehabilitated and upgraded physical facilities in our senior secondary schools and raised the feeding allowance from 21 naira per day to 300 for every student in our boarding schools. We introduced the use of 15,000 electronic tablets for learning with lessons, examination questions and answers loaded for pilot preparation for the SSC exam in our girls' secondary schools. We revamped the scholarship system, increased allowances to those entitled based on either merit or need, and sponsored many of our brilliant schoolboys and girls to study medicine in Uganda, Sudan, Cuba, and other countries, in addition to those who are studying in Nigeria. Our bilateral cooperation with Cuba continues with a second batch of medical students going to Cuba very soon. We identified a new main campus for the Kaduna State University in Igabi local government and for satellite campuses in Makarfi, Lere, Birnin-Gwari, and Kauru. Work on the facilities to enable relocation from the main campus will start during this budget year. We doubled internally generated revenue in the state from 11.9 billion in 2015 in less than 2 years to about 22 billion in 2017. And we are on the way to doubling the 2017 revenues again by the end of this year, by God's grace. Implementing a comprehensive upgrade of 255 primary healthcare centers with maternal and antenatal care equipment supplied by GE Healthcare and the employment of thousands of healthcare work personnel to man them. We accelerated the rehabilitation and equipping of our general hospitals and comprehensive health centers. In collaboration with the Ahmadu Bello University Teaching Hospital, we brought the old Tudunwada General Hospital back into service for the benefit of the neighboring communities. In implementing the 2016 budget, this government made the largest ever capital investment in the history of the state, spending over 62 billion, and the likelihood of trebling this amount in 2020. We've implemented a raft of public financial management reforms, including entrenching zero-based budgeting systems and maintaining the Treasury single account that consolidated about 25 billion scattered in more than 470 bank accounts into one account at the Central Bank of Nigeria since 2016. We abolished the dysfunctional Ministry of Land, Survey, and Country Planning, replacing it with the Kaduna Geographic Information Service to streamline land administration and digitize land records within the state. We initiated and funded several skills acquisition and entrepreneurship programs for youths and women, including the Kaduna State Women Empowerment Program with 200 million low-interest microcredits targeting women entrepreneurs and the vulnerable groups. With Click on Kaduna, young people are learning to code at our Kaduna ICT Hub. We've implemented an aggressive public service revitalization program that right-sized our state bureaucracy to an affordable structure and size, injecting vibrant youths and women into the government, thus improving the quality and vitality of the service and raising the level of ICT penetration. We reformed our local government system by restructuring and reorganizing it to solvency, enabling the councils to not only pay salaries, but also deliver real social services to citizens. We organized a free and fair local government election that employed electronic voting successfully for the first time in the history of Nigeria. In the agricultural sector, we ended the annual ritual of fertilizer racketeering, making affordable yet unsubsidized fertilizer available to farmers all year round, completed aggregation centers for farm produce in Giwa and Lere, and rehabilitated irrigation schemes across the state. We delivered the largest single foreign direct investment in the state through the $150 million Olam Poultry project, effectively making Kaduna the poultry hub of northern Nigeria. We've completed the long-delayed Zaria water expansion project that now supplies potable water to Zaria and Sapongari local governments, water transmission and distribution pipelines are now being extended to neighboring local government councils. We made other significant investments in infrastructure, especially roads, to upgrade our urban centers and open up our rural areas. We recorded significant achievement in the construction of rural feeder roads, including completing and successfully closing the Rural Access and Mobility Project funded by the World Bank. We are constructing 443 kilometers of township roads and 16 intercity roads with a distance of 414.8 kilometers. Some of our major roads have already benefited from our street lighting program, designed to light up Kaduna Metropolis and help improve security. The installation of solar street lights on 30.67 kilometers of roads was completed in 2016. These were in Rigasa, Narai High Coast, Angwan Megero, Angwan Rimi, Raba Road, Katuru Road, Sultan Road, Alimi Road, Airport Road, Nnamdi Azikiwe Expressway to Lord Lugard Roundabout, and the Sir Patrick Ibrahim Yakubu Way. On rural electrification, the administration purchased and installed many transformers for deployment in areas where Kaduna Electric has failed or neglected to invest in enhanced electricity distribution. In addition, the state government successfully electrified Kajim, Mahuta, and Randiam communities in Kaura local government. The foundation for all governance and development is human security. We have invested heavily to support federal security agencies in the state with vehicles, communication equipment, and ordnance in the last 4 years. While challenges of banditry, cattle rustling, kidnapping, and armed robbery still remain, we have been successful at containing ethno-religious crises through appropriate and proactive responses and vigorous law enforcement. We established the Kaduna State Peace Commission, which has been working to proactively promote peace in our diverse communities. Our advancements in modern technology to assist security agencies, including the acquisition of radio frequency trackers, unmanned aerial vehicles, CCTV installations, and the forensic laboratory will continue. On completion during the 2020 year, these technologies will help ensure that criminals will have no hiding place in Kaduna State. At this point, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I wish to put on record our appreciation for the contributions made to our successes in the first term by our former Deputy Governor, Architect Barnabas Yusuf Bala, our commissioners, other political appointees, and public servants. We tried to lay a solid foundation in those first years, and we have learned valuable lessons from what we did right and the errors that were made. The sterling contributions of our erstwhile colleagues enable us to have a stronger, more experienced and confident team today, and we remain ever grateful. We wish all of them well in their future endeavors and hope that they will be available to assist our APC administration at the state or federal level whenever needed. Progressive renewal by putting people first. In our second term, government policy will continue to be guided by our commitment to equality of opportunity. For us, this is an essential governance principle. It manifests in our education reforms, in our health investments, and our institutional reforms. It reflects in our empowerment of women and youths. It shows in our ongoing efforts to recruit younger persons into the civil service and to increase the salaries of government workers. It is demonstrated by our patient efforts to grow internally generated revenue, attract investments, and build fiscal infrastructure. In other words and deeds, this is the government that is putting people first because it was elected by the majority and provides good governance for all. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I'm happy to report that our second-term government is already operating with an undiminished sense of urgency. Since June 2019, we have undertaken the following. 1, we began paying the new national minimum wage with consequential and significant adjustments for junior and middle-level civil servants. We've commenced a program of mass recruitment of competent and capable persons from across Nigeria into the various cadres and agencies of the state public service. We launched the Urban Renewal Program to improve infrastructure, transport connections, and the livability of our cities. It is a state government intervention intended for our three main cities of Kaduna, Kafanchan, and Zaria. But we have started with Kaduna, and with new roads, expanded arterial roads, shopping malls, and neighborhood centers all included. This project will also cover the rehabilitation and upgrading of the iconic Murtala Muhammad Square. We've commissioned the phase 2 of Zaria Water, last mile connections to deliver water to homes and businesses in Zaria and Sabon Gari are done, and the potable water is flowing for the first time in decades. The next step is to extend the transmission and distribution network to communities in the neighboring local governments included in the project design, starting with Suba, followed by LGAs such as Giwa, Makarfi, Kudan, Kubau, and Ikara. We have also accelerated preparations to make the Greater Kaduna Water Supply Expansion Project feasible. We've started the reconstruction, expansion, and development of markets, beginning with the Kasuwa Magani Market in Kaduna local government, and moving on to Sabon Gari in Sabon Gari local government, Damagaji in Zaria local government, and Kasuwar Bauchi in Kaduna South local government, along with the sanitization of the Abubakar Gumi Central Market in Kaduna. We appointed a new leadership for SUBEP to drive our agenda in basic education and bring more children to school in multi-story classrooms to address congestion in our urban and rural primary and junior secondary schools across the state. We are accelerating the completion of 255 primary healthcare centers and the needs assessment of another batch of PSCs for upgrading and equipping. We are aggressively pursuing universal health coverage, and enrollment for the state contributory health insurance scheme will commence in January 2020. Working with the European dairy giant, ALA, to invest more than 20 billion in Damo, Kubau local government, to transform and modernize livestock production in Kaduna State into a commercially viable animal husbandry business, where we have expanded access to affordable housing through provision of a single-digit interest rate mortgage in collaboration with Sterling Bank, Nigerian Mortgage Refinancing Company, and FHA mortgages. This is to make it easy for our people to own their homes in Kaduna. We are working around the clock to ensure the completion of the trailer parks at Tafa in Kagarko local government and Mararaban Jos in Igabi local government. We intend to take every trailer and fuel tanker that currently parks dangerously on the main road off into safe, secure, and serene locations very soon. This sense of urgency is captured in the governance and institutional reforms recently introduced. While retaining 14 ministries overall, we have redefined mandates and created new ones. The new ministries are Business, Innovation and Technology, Housing and Urban Development, Internal Security and Home Affairs, and Sports Development. Ministries with redefined mandates include Agriculture, Environment, Education, Health, Human Services and Social Development, Local Government Affairs, Public Work and Infrastructure. All these ministries and their associated agencies are now grouped into 5 policy councils. Each of these meets weekly to ensure coordination in implementing public policy. The policy councils are the Human Capital Development, Economic Development, Infrastructure Development, and Procurement Monitoring, and the Institutional Development Council. The powers of the State Executive Council have been delegated to these councils. We have no doubt that our state will benefit tremendously from this decision to banish silo mentality and institutionalized collaboration in the DNA of government agencies. The 2020 budget advances the putting people first agenda. As in other years, the 2020 draft estimates reflect our commitment to ordinary people and the promotion of equal opportunity. The social sector, especially education and health, anchors our pro-people priorities. These pillars of human capital development will be further strengthened through the following measures. 1. Over 12 years of free primary and secondary education becomes compulsory for all children in Kaduna State. A few years ago, we made education free for girls to the end of secondary school. This is now extended to all students, males and females, and represents a significant upgrade on the 9 years that were previously guaranteed for boys. We've completed the renovation of more primary schools and extended the building of more classrooms, including multi-story blocks, to address congestion and land availability constraints in urban centers. Accelerate the upgrade of senior secondary schools and conversion of all our senior secondary schools into boarding schools. To convert the business apprenticeship training centers into technical, vocational education and training colleges. These colleges will offer courses like coding and digital skills, in addition to more traditional fare like fashion design, furniture making, and hairdressing. To complete the construction of 6 new science secondary schools being financed by the Islamic Development Bank. To select another batch of primary healthcare centers for upgrade, refitting, equipping, and provision of solar grids for the electrical needs, to be manned by some 3,000 additional healthcare staff the SPSCDA plans to employ. Complete the 300-bed specialist hospital at the Millennium City that has been under construction since 2009. We'll devote 800 million in 2020 and 1 billion naira annually thereafter for the Kaduna State Women Empowerment Fund. Implement the Urban Renewal Program to improve infrastructure in our state. We'll accelerate the Public Service Reform and Revitalization Program. In addition to recruiting youth into the public service, we have introduced a performance incentive line item in this budget to motivate and reward hard-working, productive public servants at all levels and in all MDAs. We work closely with the judiciary to establish special courts like family courts and the anti-corruption courts to accelerate the resolution of these ever-sensitive matters. We also intend to broaden the jurisdiction of the increased numbers of our magistrate courts to enable them assist in reducing the burden of our highly overworked high courts. We are also firmly resolved to consolidate our ranking as the #1 state in Nigeria for ease of doing business in the World Bank's Doing Business Report 2018. So aside from ongoing investments in infrastructure, we shall also take the following measures. 1, we'll collaborate with the judiciary to establish a small claims court to handle commercial disputes below a threshold defined by the enabling law. We shorten to 5 days from the current 21 the duration for considering building plan applications. Although building without permits is illegal, this reform would also remove the tenuous excuses lawbreakers tend to give. This will be accompanied by aggressive enforcement of building approvals. The databases of CADGES and CASOPTA would also be connected, removing the possibility that anyone can obtain building approvals without presenting valid title documents. In this respect, we are calling on all our citizens to visit CADGES and collect the over 5,000 certificates of occupancy that are awaiting collection. The draft 2020 budget emphasizes fiscal realism, limiting the budget size strictly to realizable revenues. The key fiscal targets of the 2020 estimates are: 1, funding up to conclusion priority ongoing projects and reducing the backlog of inherited liabilities, maintaining a favorable proportion of capital to recurrent expenditure, and expanding the revenue generation capacity of the state. Mr. Speaker, we have prioritized the projects that we can complete given available resources. We also intend to meet our commitments and discharge our liabilities to the contractors we have commissioned to work for us. We will remain resolute in putting people first and continue to strengthen the public service and promote equality of opportunities. Attaining the fiscal targets outlined above require us to further intensify measures to control expenditure and increase revenues. We will remain vigilant about the integrity of the payroll to ensure that personnel costs are spent solely on genuine workers. Accordingly, we will carry out continuous biometric verification of all public servants in all arms of government to weed out ghost workers and those with fake certificates and altered biographic records. Similarly, across the state government and all the local governments, when we present their budget soon, we will, between 2020 and 2023, further constrain overhead expenditure. We have limited overheads provision in the 2020 budget, guided by the half-year actual spending in 2019. In addition, the Ministry of Finance will issue debit cards to all MDAs to ensure transparency and accountability in the spending of overheads and eliminate the risk of money laundering and waste. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, between 2015 and 2019, we implemented the monetization policy that ensured the sale of virtually all non-essential residential houses of the state government. Apart from judges of Supreme Court, the governor and the deputy governor that must be provided housing in kind, no other public officer is entitled to government housing under current guidelines. The policy has led to reduced maintenance costs while encouraging home ownership. The policy was complemented and supported with a robust mortgage system that has made available about 4 billion naira for citizens of Kaduna State to draw upon so that they can own homes rather than just to rent. Government will therefore not return to the erstwhile inefficient and ineffective practice of building and maintaining thousands of residential houses for a few privileged public servants. We will complete the sale of non-essential residential quarters to finalize our exit from this high-cost sector. As stated above, judges of the Superior Court of Record shall continue to have official residences. Workers residing within the premises of the educational or health institutions in which they are serving are also allowed to live in the premises. But government guest houses will be centralized under the protocol department of the government house and the day-to-day management outsourced to hospitality companies. All arms of government, local governments, and MDAs are entitled to request the use of government guest houses when needed to reduce overall expenditure on hotel accommodation for official visitors and guests of government. As these expenditure control measures proceed, we will continue to ramp up measures to significantly improve IGR collection. We cannot avoid the imperative to generate more revenues to at least run the machinery of government. We shall cover recurrent expenses from our own internal revenues. This will leave us better placed to devote to urgent capital investments, resources we attract from other sources. Under a new leadership, our revamped Kaduna Internal Revenue Service is taking the lead in this regard with the cooperation of other revenue-generating MDAs. Summary of the 2020 draft revenue and expenditure estimates. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the size of the proposed 2020 budget is 257.9 billion. The capital component is 190.03 billion, an unprecedented figure in absolute and percentage terms in the fiscal history of the state, with recurrent expenses set at 67.87 billion, The 2020 budget, when approved, is projected to have a record capital to recurrent ratio of 73.7% to 26.3%. Most of the capital spending will be in the economic and social sectors, in keeping faith with our stated governance agenda. Education, health, and infrastructure have capital allocations amounting to about 140 billion, more than 73% of the proposed capital budget. Capital spending on education is 44.9 billion for health, 30.29 billion naira for the public works and for public works and infrastructure, 64.9 billion naira. The total budgetary allocation for education of 64.64 billion naira makes up for 25.07% of the total budget. Health with 39.61 billion equals 15.36%, and infrastructure with 66.34 billion accounts for 25.72 billion. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, permit me at this time to present a summary of the recurrent capital allocations and to outline the proposed allocation to each sector. The 2020 draft estimate billion 750,625,391.96. Statutory allocations will account for 53,824,000,000 naira. So have a total of 120,574,625,391.96. Less recurrent expenditure. Personnel cost will account for 34,283,466,345.61, and overheads will account for 33,573,756,452.91. The total is 67,877,232,792.52. So the recurrent budget surplus will amount to 52,697,392,593.44. For the capital account, the recurrent budget surplus of 52,697,392,593.44. We expect the value added tax of 18 billion, 12 million, and 800,000. Internal loans and credit of 3.5 billion. Internal grants of 63 billion, 110 million, 134,848.35. External loans will account for 45 billion, 473 million, 26,569.54. External grants amount to 6 billion, 238 million, 232,923.81. And the sales of government assets will provide 1 billion. So the total capital budget will now account for 190 billion, 31 million, 586,935.14 So the actual 2020 budget size will have a recurrent budget of 67 billion, 877 million, 232,798.52, and a capital budget of 190 billion, 31 million, 586,935.14. So the total expenditure for 2020 will amount to 257,908,819,733.66. The Kaduna State Multi-Year Draft Budget 2020 now present a summary of the sectoral allocations. For the economic subsector, which has agriculture, business innovation and technology, housing and urban development, public works and infrastructure, the total for that subsector will amount to 80,658,151,697.55. For the social sector, we have education, health, and social development. The total allocation to that subsector is 76,560,588,230.48. In the regional subsector, which has environment and natural resources and water, the total allocation for that subsector will account for 4,826,655,463.80. And for general administration, where we have the executive, governance, law and justice, and the legislature, 27,986,191,543.31 has been allocated, given a grand total of 190,586,935.14. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the summary clearly shows that our priorities in 2020 are human capital development and physical infrastructure. We have announced a commitment to expand access to education. That is why from 2020, education becomes free till the completion of secondary or technical vocational education. To improve health outcomes for our people, we shall continue upgrades to the primary healthcare system, bringing more equipment, ensuring standard furnishing for all facilities, in addition to expanding the coverage of immunization and other health promotion and disease prevention programs, recruiting health professionals, and working to reduce infant and maternal mortality. The ongoing urban renewal program in Kaduna demonstrates that we view infrastructure as critical to citizen welfare, the competitiveness of the state, and its economic development. The legislative agenda for 2020. Most of the reforms we are implementing require fresh legislation or amendments to extant laws. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, you will recall that one of the most notable features of the first term was the sheer number of executive bills passed by the Kaduna State House of Assembly. I pay tribute to the hard work and industry of the legislature. We intend to approach this House with a panoply of bills to improve governance of the state. The proposed bills will include the Finance Bill, which will specify amendments to the tax code, including the introduction of revised development levy and land use charges for all property in urban areas of the state. Reflect reviewed charges for the registration of private educational and health facilities across the state. Detailed fees for tuition and other charges for public tertiary educational institutions within the state. Any other fiscal policies and instruments to enhance the solvency and viability of the state and local governments. The second is an educational bill to extend free and compulsory education to senior secondary level for all students. Free education up to the senior secondary level was previously enjoyed only by female students, while boys had theirs guaranteed only up to junior secondary level. From 2020, every child in Kaduna is required to have 12 years of free compulsory primary and secondary education. The bill will mandate that those that prefer vocational or technical education after completing junior secondary school would also enjoy 3 years of technical enhanced enforcement of the UBE Act, Child Welfare and Protection Law, and the Street Hawking Prohibition Law. Our education marshals, CASLIA, and the Kaduna State Vigilance Service will jointly ensure no child in Kaduna State roams the street during school hours for any reason without legal consequences for the parents or guardians. The third is the Technical and Vocational Education Bill, which will enable the conversion of our business apprenticeship training centers into technical, vocational education and training colleges with boarding facilities and community-based governance framework. The Public Service Bill to entrench our reform and revitalization efforts and ensure uniformity and clarity in the administration of the state public service. The Health Facilities Management and Regulation Bill to enable tighter oversight regarding the establishment, registration, and regulation of every type of public and private health facility within the state. The State Primary Healthcare Development Amendment or Reenactment Bill to update the Primary Healthcare Development Agency and Primary Healthcare under one roof law that this Honorable House graciously enacted in September 2015, paving way for influx of coordinated donor support to our immunization and primary healthcare programs. The Social Protection Bill that will domesticate the various social intervention programs of the federal government and propose a statewide social safety net that will address the basic needs of our poorest and most vulnerable citizens. Chieftaincy and Traditional Councils Bill to entrench the reforms of the chieftaincy system, specify composition and classification of emirates and traditional councils, and update the provisions of colonial laws on the subject. Employment Promotion Bill that will establish a State Council of Economic Advisors to guide the government on measures to promote job creation, economic development, and investment promotion. The State Universal Basic Education Bill will repeal the 2005 law to reflect lessons learned in the implementation of the domestication of the UBE Act to ensure the elimination of the Almajiri phenomenon in Kaduna State. The Family Court and Small Claims Court Establishment Bill, along with legislation to amend the District Court Law, and another bill for the enactment of a Kaduna State Commercial Code. In conclusion, as we strengthen governance in the second term, we will vigorously implement the Putting People First agenda. We will continue to privilege the interests of ordinary people, promote equal opportunity, and to attract investments to our state. The time is short. We cannot allow for any distractions. We shall not waver in making life better for the people of Kaduna State. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, at this point, I seek your permission to respectfully now lay before this honorable House the draft estimates of revenues and expenditure for the 2020 fiscal year for consideration. Thank you for listening.
The acting governor of Kaduna State, Dr. Hadiza Sabuwa Balarabe, my distinguished honorable colleagues, the Secretary to the State Government, Malam Balarabe Abbas, the Chief of Staff, Muhammad Sani Abdullahi, Senior Counselor to the Governor, State Executive, members of the State Executive Council, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. All praise and gratitude are due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who grant us the will to be here today and welcome you and your team to the Kaduna State House of Assembly. For the presentation of the year 2020 budget, you are all welcome indeed. Your Excellency, last year, the Governor Malam Nasir Ahmad El-Rufai, while we were approaching the general election, he prayed for our success. God, in His infinite mercy, has granted his prayer, and the people of Kaduna State and our various constituencies have mandated us to govern and represent them once more. Our gratitude to Almighty Allah is immeasurable in this respect. Furthermore, let me formally, on behalf of my distinguished honorable colleagues, the clerk, brethren, and staff of the Kaduna State House of Assembly, congratulate you on assumption into your new office as the Deputy Governor of Kaduna State. We also congratulate you for being the first Deputy Governor to present budget before this highly chamber, and the first female to be elected as a Deputy Governor in the history of Nigeria.
The Honorable Speaker of the State House of Assembly, Abdul Shagali, reacting to the estimate of the 2020 budget presented at the House today by the Deputy Governor of the state, Hadiza Balarabe. From all the crew that present the estimated budget from the Lugat Hall here in Kaduna. My name is Abdullahi Mohammed, and from here we're going to hand over to Katsina, where another live program is taking place there. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
Imagine a station that prepares you for a bright and greater future. A station for all ages, documentaries, classroom and television, events coverage, children's programs and variety shows. Always stay tuned to NTA Knowledge on the StarTimes platform, channel 359. For partnership, sponsorship and advert placements, contact us on NTA Knowledge. NTA Knowledge, learning to broaden horizon.
This is the network service of the NTA. We now join our outside broadcast crew for a live telecast. Please stay tuned.
Radio Corporation of Nigeria, like the MC has said, everybody here is a son of the soil. The former deputy governor of Katsina State, you are looking at me, I will not forget you. Excellency Alhaji Tukur Ahmed Kamshi, the former deputy governor, Barrister Abdullahi Faskari. Permit me, if I miss your name, it's not intentional, neither is it deliberate, but because the faces are too many. for me to remember each and every face that is here. Let me start by thanking the Honorable Minister of Information for choosing Katsina to host this all-important town hall meeting. The choice of Katsina, I'm sure, is not by accident, but I do believe by design. We would have gone to Zamfara. I am his senior brother. At a point, I was his prefect. We could have gone to Sokoto, another my junior brother. So I think the information has been deliberate in choosing where the senior brother is to come and host this all-important town hall meeting here in Katsina. And we are also happy that the federal government has really shown interest by coming here to highlight what had happened here, the efforts, especially of the three of us, the governor of Zamfara, the governor of Sokoto, and myself, have done in order to curtail and bring the current situation to the barest minimum. So I think the choice here is apt, and I wish we will have fruitful deliberations. I don't think it is not time for me to make a presentation on behalf of Katsina State. We will come to that. But I'm here to welcome you, all of you, to Katsina, and to thank the Honorable Minister of Information for choosing Katsina. Thank you very much.
We thank His Excellency, the Governor of
to the Katsina State Local Government Service Commission Conference Hall in Keita Road, Katsina, and the special town hall meeting on security, banditry, cattle rustling, and kidnapping. This event is under the auspices of the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture, involving the Katsina State Government, the Kaduna State Government, Sokoto State Government, and Zamfara State Government. I'm Ayinde Shuaga, on behalf of the Director General of the Nigerian Television Authority, Alhaji Yakubu Ibn Mohammed. I warmly welcome you to proceedings here, where Minister of Information, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, is joined by the Honorable Ministers of Police Affairs, Defense, and the Interior. And they will brief the audience here on achievements and challenges of their ministries and the impact of such on Nigerians. The audience also has the opportunity to ask questions and get answers by the ministers. The concept of the town hall meetings started on 25th of April 2016 to coincide with the activities leading up to the first anniversary of the Muhammadu Buhari administration. Minister of Information, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, is now to deliver his welcome address.
The Chairman, House Committee on Information, Honorable Segun Odebumi, Honorable Ministers, I want to take advantage of the Executive Governor of Katsina State, who said he's unable to recognize every distinguished personality here. So if he fails to do so, what about poor me? So please, I want you to please forgive me if I do not recognize you. You are all very important to me. I would start with the former governor of Katsina State, who incidentally was my boss in 1974-75. Thank you very much. I say, Pedro, and I'm delighted that you are here and you are healthy and you are able to participate at this town hall meeting. I also recognize all the members of the State House of Assembly, all the cabinet members of Katsina State, and those from other states who are here. I recognize all our traditional rulers, opinion leaders, and all stakeholders who are here present at this special edition of our town hall meeting. Permit me to most sincerely thank our host, His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Katsina State, the Right Honorable Aminu Bello Masari, and indeed the entire government of Katsina State for agreeing to host this town hall meeting. Your Excellency, we appreciate your invaluable support and your hospitality for all members of our team. May I also extend my sincere appreciation to Your Excellencies, Governors Aminu Waziri Tambua of Sokoto and Governor Bello Mutawalli of Zamfara, without whose support this event would not have been possible. I want to most sincerely thank my colleagues, the Honorable Ministers of Defense and Interior, all of whom have traveled with me from Abuja for this town hall meeting. Finally, my gratitude goes to all our invited guests, many of whom have traveled from long distances to be here today. I thank you all. Your Excellencies, Honorable Ministers, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Ministry of Information and Culture launched the Town Hall Meeting series in Lagos on April 25, 2016, to provide a platform for the federal government to regularly give account of its stewardship to the people, get a feedback and input from them, and overall to enhance citizens' participation in governance. This will be the 16th edition of the Town Hall meeting and the very first one since the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari assumed office for its second term. Programs of the Buhari administration is to tackle insecurity across the country, whether it is Boko Haram, banditry, kidnapping, cattle rustling, or armed robbery. The administration has faced the challenges posed by insecurity with grit and determination. The federal government is unrelenting in tackling these challenges because without peace and security, there can be no development. Here in the Northwest, the security challenges are mainly banditry, cattle rustling, and kidnapping, which have been unique and daunting. The deadly attacks that claim lives and destroy property were daily making headline news all over the country. At a stage, the situation became so bad in some of the states in the Northwest that many felt they were intractable. But thanks to the unrelenting efforts of the federal government, as well as the determination and innovative efforts of the governments of the affected states, there has been a remarkable improvement, and peace and security are gradually returning to the worst-hit states. Unfortunately, the progress that has been made in combating banditry, cattle rustling, and kidnapping has not made this kind of headlines that the security challenges were making at their peak. It has therefore become imperative for the federal government, working with the affected states, to provide a platform for the governors of the frontline states to highlight the successes they have achieved in their various states in tackling these cases of insecurity, as well as for relevant federal government ministers to highlight the efforts that have helped to drastically reduce the level of insecurity in the Northwest. That is why we decided to organize this town hall meeting in Katsina. It is hoped that at the end of the meeting, the great efforts of the governors of the frontline states of Katsina, Sokoto, and Zamfara, as well as the contributions of the federal government under the leadership of Muhammadu Buhari, would have been well documented and, of course, widely reported. Today's town hall meeting is very unique. Since we started in 2016, this is the first time that we are having governors from the APC and the PDP sitting together as panelists. This is first a testimony the Right Honorable Aminu Bello Masari to please come and
to the first anniversary of the Muhammadu Buhari administration. It is aimed to bridge the communication gap between the government and the people, and also to keep them better informed of policies and programs of the federal government. Currently, we are about to listen to a briefing on in Katsina about banditry, cattle rustling, and kidnapping, and efforts being made to tackle these security challenges. Governor Aminu Bello Masari will take the stage now, after which we will take the governor of Zamfara State and the governor of Sokoto State. They will speak in turn.
So that whatever I will say will be in the minds of the people even after other speakers have spoken. So if there are other questions and suggestions, we'll be able to take them. But I think as the host, let me read what has been prepared for me. It gives me great pleasure to welcome everyone to this important meeting organized for discussion on security challenges bedeviling the northwestern states. This is a viable platform for us to appraise the effort being made by our respective governments to turn the tide of the lingering security challenges, highlight successes recorded, and to suggest further way forward. I would like to particularly welcome the governors, honorable ministers, and distinguished honorable members, senators, and members of the House of Representatives, whose presence at this important meeting has buttressed the federal government's commitment to ending insecurity in our region. As you are all aware, during the period of the previous regimes, Katsina has witnessed heightened activities of cattle rustlers and armed bandits, resulting in incessant killings of innocent citizens and the forceful prohibition of farming and rearing animals, particularly in 8 local government areas that share border with the Rugu Forest, namely Jibia, Batsari, Safana, Damusa, Kankara, Faskari, Dandume, and the Sabwa local governments. During such unfortunate incidences, in a day alone, the hoodlums invaded communities in Faskari and Sabwa local government areas where they massacred over 100 innocent citizens and destroyed several houses and properties. We witnessed a period of uncertainty regarding coexistence between Hausa and Fulani communities. The Hausas could not go to the forest or farm freely, while the Fulanis could not go to town or market on market days, and their women were prevented from selling milk in the town and villages. As part of its campaign promises, this administration vowed to do everything possible to stop the bloodshed perpetrated by cattle rustlers and armed bandits and restore peace. When we came on board in 2015, therefore, we organized and funded various security operations by the security agencies, which led to the reduction of cattle rustling to the barest minimum. Some of the criminals were dislodged from their hideouts in the forest, and their camps were destroyed. The joint security operations led to the recovery of over 30,000 rustled animals, which were handed over to their rightful owners. Furthermore, in 2006, the state government initiated and commenced dialogue with suspected cattle rustlers, which facilitated and saw the surrender of over 350 firearms by both the repentant cattle rustlers and the rival vigilante group at an epoch-making which took place in Kankara town, Kankara local government area on 15th January 2017. The peace program therefore brought relative peace and normalcy, returned the frontline local government areas. In a bid for government to consolidate on successes recorded, 10 schools and 10 clinics were built in the domains of the herdsmen in the Lugu forest, which was part of government resettlement and the reintegration program of the herdsmen, and all the sites were selected by the Fulani themselves. While the state was enjoying relative peace as a result of the amnesty, for nearly 2 years, the Baharindaji group of unrepentant rustlers suddenly emerged and engaged in armed confrontation with the repentant rustlers. Thus, most of the repentant forest commanders were killed during the confrontations. Cattle rustling returned in large scale with attendant kidnapping, armed banditry, and invading communities, and arbitrary killings of innocent people. Kidnapping and armed banditry, which became a recurrent decimal in some neighboring states, soon hit Katsina, as Jibia, Batsali, Safana, Damusa, and the Kankara local government areas were attacked almost daily. Efforts by the state government in tackling the menace of kidnapping and armed banditry. In a bid to ensure continued protection of lives and property and restore peace, the state government sponsored and organized various security operations by the security agencies in order to curb the persisting security challenges. To this end, the state government provided logistic support to security agencies for smooth undertaking of their operational mandates. These include securing of office accommodation and donation of over 200 million naira for the smooth takeover of the 17th Brigade Nigerian Army, Katsina, establishment of new battalion in Malumfashi. While effort is on to commend their excellencies, the governors of Kebbi, Zama, and 19. Majority of the renowned bandits and forest commanders denounce armed banditry and have accepted to embrace peace. The following could therefore be said to have been achieved within this short period. Kidnapping and armed banditry have reduced drastically to the barest minimum. Normalcy and the relative peace have returned in the 8 frontline local government areas. Markets which hitherto were not being patronized due to the menace of cattle rustling, kidnapping, and banditry have now continued to witness large number of people from all walks of life, thereby increasing economic fortunes of the state. Release of people kidnapped, abducted by the bandits, and in exchange government has released many relatives of the bandits detained in prisons and police cells. And local government committees were formed to further address areas of potential conflict and to continue with the dialogue process at their levels. I would like to, at this juncture, call on the federal government on the need to consider a special security subvention or grant to the affected northwestern states to adequately fund the dialogue peace program and other security operations by security agencies in the states. It could as well assist the state to cushion challenges of resettlement and the rehabilitation of the repentant herders and their families. Finally, I wish to sincerely thank the Honorable Minister of Information and the Culture for the wisdom in organizing this event, and pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to turn everybody back to their respective destinations safely. I must add at this point what I said earlier. Well, you know, sometimes it's very difficult to talk when the journalists and pressmen are around, especially this social media and the people who can twist what you say You mean what you don't. Honestly speaking, not because we are all here. I think we must commend these governors, because if we had started the way we are doing now, I think what we started in 2016 and 17, I think we wouldn't have seen the resurgence of what we saw in the last 3 or 4 months. I think the governor of Sokoto can bear me witness that we tried very hard. So I must commend our junior brother here, because we are all his seniors. The governor of Zamfara State, for keying in, really, I think he gave impetus to the effort that was started. And also, the rekindler of hope was the current General Officer Commanding 8th Division, Brigadier General Amin Bandi. When we saw the president, who told the president the problems, and the president acted. And we saw the deployment of Brigadier General Bandi. When he came, he made a difference. He definitely made a difference. So we must commend the federal government under the leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari for listening and doing what is right at that time. That what tamed the tide of what was happening in Northwest. There are other silent futures of the conflict that I have not mentioned and nobody has mentioned. Probably we intend to keep it quiet. But the public should know that the governors of Zamfara, Sokoto, and myself, together with the governor of Maradi, and our own commanders and police commissioner and director of state security services, had a summit in Niger to discuss this problem, because there was cross-border criminality. So many things were happening. This issue of banditry and criminality goes beyond the border of Nigeria and Niger, has extended up to Mali and other West African countries. We all know the pattern of movement of herders Fulani in this zone, right from Guinea-Conakry up to Central Africa, traversing northwest, north-central, parts of northeast, south-south, into Central African republics. So I think it's a problem that is multidimensional. But we are looking at how do we patrol, stop the banditry. And we have already started, because we have organized a meeting of Nigerian bandits that are in Nigeria, and the government of Niger Republic. They have started meeting, I think today, 7 days ago, when they met in Jibia, and there will be a follow-up meeting, which finally will meet the state governors, and the governor of Maradi will meet again to solidify whatever achievement has been achieved, so that there will be peace in the region. Not only because if there is peace in Katsina State, in Zamfara State, in Sokoto State, if there is no peace in Niger, the bandits of Niger have the capability of diluting whatever we do here in Nigeria. Likewise, if we don't have a similar program in Niger, because we saw it in the last 1 month, all the attacks in Niger carried out by Nigerian bandits that are residing in Nigeria. They leave Nigeria, they will go to Niger, commit banditry, cattle rustling, murder, and come back to Nigeria. That's what we saw in the last 1 month. So these issues, there are issues which I have already explained to the federal authorities, and I'm sure the federal authorities are also doing the best they can to bring in the Nigerian government into the circle of this peace dialogue for it to be comprehensive, because we need a secure and safe border. So it's also an aspect which we have not concluded, and I think work is in progress. And I must again commend the federal government under the leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari for always listening to us and taking our advice seriously. We have seen it, and probably this the choice of Kaduna may be part of it. Thank you very much. Let me allow my colleagues also to.
Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, can we put our hands once more for His Excellency? May I inform the governors that you do not give all your arsenals as you come. Make your presentation. We are going to bombard you where you will tell us more of what you are doing so that we achieve our goals. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies.
We have listened to the governor of Katsina State, Alhaji Aminu Bello Masari, give us a brief on efforts to tackle banditry, kidnapping, and cattle rustling in Katsina State. And it's been such a very elucidating brief. Shortly, we'll take the governor of Sokoto State, Alhaji Aminu Bello Tambuwa, to also brief us on efforts being made in Sokoto State to combat security challenges in that state. Shortly.
This is courtesy of the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture. So at this stage, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, may I now invite His Excellency, Right Honorable Aminu Waziri Tambuwa, the Governor of Sokoto State, to please come forward and give his presentation. Your Excellency, sir.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله على النبي الكريم. My boss and our leader, our host, the Governor of Katsina State, Right Honorable Aminu Bello Masari, my brother and colleague from Zamfara, Honorable Dr. Mohammed Bello Mutawalli, the Honorable Ministers of Information, Defense and Interior, the Deputy Governor of Katsina State, Chairman, House of Representatives Committee on Information, our leaders, in particular, former Governor of Katsina, Alhaji Saidu Barda and Senator Abba Ali, and several others that have been well laid out by my boss in his protocol list. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. For a long time, I've not received a call from my airborne, the Honorable Minister of Information. Those calls used to be very frequent in the past. But of course, because of and owing to certain developments, they ceased at some time. So when about 2 weeks ago, he called me to say, my younger brother, we want you in Katsina for a town hall meeting on security. I said, my senior brother, I am on my way. More so, I'm coming home to meet my leader, the Governor of Katsina State, and the good people of Katsina State. I must therefore thank Alhaji Lai Mohammed, the Honorable Minister for Information, for providing this platform for us to come to continue to engage, because the conversation has been on and is ongoing, on how best we can arrest the very ugly trend of insecurity in our region and sub-region and Nigeria, and also to come up with ways of establishing, once again, a more peaceful and prosperous country, Nigeria. Honorable Minister, on behalf of the government of Sokoto State and the good people of Sokoto State, I commend you and your team, and through you, President Muhammadu Buhari, for this platform. I would like to say that the primary responsibility, as we all know, of every government is provision of security and ensuring that there is welfare of our people as well maintained. And that premise, or on that premise, the government of Sokoto State, by the grace of God under my leadership, has been working closely with the security agencies in Sokoto State, the government of Zamfara, Katsina, Kebbi, Kaduna, the Northwest Sub-region, and to some extent Niger State, and indeed federal government, on nipping these challenges in the bud. We have been working closely with the security agencies in Sokoto State in the area of provision of vehicles, to some extent funding, even though our resources are very lean to them. And even yesterday, we held a similar town hall meeting under the leadership of His Eminence, the Sultan of Sokoto, where he convened this kind of meeting between the governments and people of Sokoto, Kebbi, and Zamfara in search of this peace. And as you rightly heard from the leader, Governor Masari, we've been to Niger Republic to continue to engage our neighbors. I, for one, before Maradi, I've been to Tawa because Sokoto State is bordering both Tawa, Dosso, and Maradi states or regions of Niger Republic. I've also been to Tawa and engaged with the governor of Tawa on a similar mission. We have been working closely with the governor of Katsina and Zamfara on the issue of dialogue. We must continue to embrace dialogue because no matter what happens, at the end of the day, we must all end on a round table for us to engage and discuss and find lasting peace with these citizens of ours. No matter how bad they are citizens of Nigeria, most of them, except for those who come in from Niger Republic and some other parts of West Africa to kind of compound our situation. As governors of Northern Nigeria, I think in the last 2 years, we met in Kaduna and agreed to review the penal code. Because whatever you are doing, you have to also be looking at the legal framework, whether it is working, if there's any lacuna, if there are new trends that needs to be captured by the legal framework, you do so. And we came up with a revised penal code system for all of our states. Sokoto is one of those states that has already passed the law to capture and make sure that all of these emerging trends in criminality are properly captured and punishments are accordingly prescribed. We have passed the law. I have long signed the law, the bill into law. And of course, we have also established a Rent Control and Safety of Persons Commission, whereby we are, as another measure of being proactive, ensuring that we register all tenants that come and are occupying properties in the state. As a tenant, you must register with the commission, and the landlord of the property that is giving you the property must also be known, and the identity of the tenant is known up to his roots, because we have identified part of the problem is that we have people coming in to settle down in the state whose identities and businesses are not known. And we discovered that there is a need for us to bridge that gap, and we have long passed the bill into law, and I've signed the law and established the commission. We must continue to engage and discuss about how best we can continue to fund the security agencies. They are doing their best. In particular, in Sokoto, there is synergy between the services in the state, and they are working together, they are working in harmony. And I must commend the federal government for the establishment of the 8th Div of the Nigerian Army in Sokoto, which has long been established, and they have started working earnestly. And the Sokoto government provided where they are for now, and also we gave them about 50 housing units for their takeoff support, logistic support, and all of that. But what is important is that they are working in synergy and they are working hand in hand with the rest of the security agencies in Katsina, in Zamfara, and Kebbi. So I must admonish that going forward, we know that our security personnel are not, Nigeria is undermanned by security personnel. Therefore, there is a need for us to embark on more recruitment of personnel into these services. There's also the need for us to provide adequate funding for them to have equipment and hardware. We know the challenges, we know what is going on. They cannot fight this war without being properly kitted, without being properly refurbished in terms of the hardware, in terms of the equipment that they require. If the firepower of a bandit or an insurgent is more superior and sophisticated than that of a service officer, you should know what to expect. You should know the outcome. So there is a need for us to work together with the federal government and ensure that our personnel, our services are properly funded and well kitted. And we must not forget about their welfare. As governors of various states, we know how much we do. It's not for us to divulge that information in terms of support for the various agencies that we're working with in our respective states, even though they are federally controlled, but a lot of funding from states go into them, of course, because it is our business to ensure that our states are safe and the people are secure. So there is a need in the long term for the federal government and indeed all of us to invest more in funding the security personnel and to deploy issues of technology. We cannot find the current trend of insecurity in Nigeria without resorting to technology. So we must take advantage of what is there out there in the world and provide it here in Nigeria. That is in the long term. And also in the long term, we must address the issues of unemployment, job creation. Government is the enabler of providing environment for businesses to thrive. As governments will continue to provide enabling environment, there is not quite much that we can do in the provision of jobs, but we must provide that environment where jobs will be created for our teeming youth, because for as long as they remain unengaged, unemployed, then we'll continue to have problems with them. So it is very necessary for us to continue to do that. Of course, we have in Sokoto State agreed and accepted to work with the federal government on Ruga project, and of course, the kind of reestablishment of grazing reserves that have been hitherto taken over owing to population and growth of our cities and towns and villages. So it's work in progress. We are doing a lot in that. And I must commend the governors of Katsina, Katsina, Zamfara, Kebbi, Kaduna, and the rest of us for working together. There is no one solution that fits all. But what we have in this sub-region is a situation whereby all of the problems are almost identical and having common solution. And we are all working together to ensure that we come up with these common solutions for us to nip this in the bud and reverse the current trend of insecurity in this sub-region and ensure that Nigeria and indeed Northwest is safe for all of us to live in. Thank you very much. I appreciate this opportunity, Alhaji Mohammed, and I hope the calls will continue to flow now. Thank you very much.
We thank His Excellency, Right Honorable Aminu Waziri Tambawal, the Executive Governor of Sokoto State. Can we, ladies and gentlemen, put our hands once more for his remarks? We thank you. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the Inspector General of Police is ably represented here by Dan Bature, the AIG Zone 1. Sir, you're most welcome. We also have in our midst the SAs to Mr. President on Information and Culture in the person of Mr. Shegun Adeyemi and Mr. Williams, who are also a very strong backbone to the preparations to this town hall meeting. Sirs, you are most welcome. May I also inform you, Your Excellencies, that the local stations here, the Katsina State TV and radio station and other local media are also covering us live. Can we, ladies and gentlemen, put our hands for them for doing a very good job? Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, may I now invite the Executive Governor of Zamfara State, His Excellency Dr. Muhammad Bello Matawali, to please come forward and give his own remarks. Your Excellency, sir.
Your Excellency, our host, and my leader, and my Oga on the top, Right Honorable Aminu Bello Masari, my speaker. Your Excellency, my Oga on the top again, the Governor of Sokoto State, my former speaker, Honorable Aminu Waziri Tambuwal. Your Excellency, sir. Honorable Ministers here present, the Minister and the coordinator of this program, Minister of Information and Culture, the Honorable Minister of Defense and Honorable Minister for Interior, our own Honorable Chairman, House Committee on Information, elders, traditional rulers here present, and religious leaders, former honorable members and former senators and honorable members of the House of Representatives, women and youth, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Well, my elders has already said it all, but as a young governor who is ready to fight the banditry any time and any moment, I have to chip in and say something, so I shall give you a brief of what my government has done in Zamfara State. So I will quickly read a short speech so that you may have some background of what happened and what we are doing in Zamfara State. It is my delight to address you at this occasion to this very important event of a town hall meeting on the state of security in our northwestern sub-region. This meeting is part of the Ontario effort aimed at providing practical solutions to the unfortunate security situation in which the sub-region has found itself in recent years. I would like to thank the conveners of the meeting for this wonderful initiative, which offers a platform for cross-exchange of ideas and experience with regard to the fight against banditry. As you are aware, Zamfara State has had perhaps the worst experience of banditry in a modern history of this part of the country. Even though the wave of attack has drastically reduced as a result of dialogue and reconciliation project of my administration, there are still pockets of challenges that crops up from time to time, but we are currently working very hard to consolidate the atmosphere of peace which has been regained within the first 4 months of my administration. At events of this nature, it will not be out of place for me to recount some of the successes we have recorded through collaboration, contribution from various stakeholders, including the security agencies, Miyatti Allah, Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria, NSAKAI, traditionals and religious leaders, and other well-meaning individuals and groups. Their successes include: 1. Returns of relative fees across all parts of the state, leading to economic and social rejuvenation. The introduction of traditional Fulani Fiesta of Sharu and the Hausa Fiesta of Dembe, which brought the communities of Hausa and Fulani together during the last Eid festival. Release of over 500 captives, including a North Korean doctor, Jang Son-2, who was held captive for over 7 months. Recovery of over 400 assorted weapons from both the NSAKAI and the repentant bandits. Boosting economic activities across the state. The gradual return of internally displaced persons to their homes. The planned establishment of world-class university by Sudan due to the prevailing atmosphere of peace that we recorded. We are determined to keep the faith to do everything humanly possible to ensure that peace continues to prevail across all parts of the state. Some of the critical steps we have taken in this regard include setting up a higher-powered committee under the leadership of the former Inspector General of Police, MD Abubakar, which completed and submitted its report with far-reaching decision. Construction of Ruga settlement across the 3 senatorial districts of the state. The settlements are to be provided state-of-the-art equipment at the facilities, such as schools, clinics, roads network, and ranches. Already the pilot phase of project has commenced with commencement of construction of one of the settlements in Maradu local government, with my brother, the governor of Sokoto, flag off the project. We also collaboration with the sister state of the Northwest to have a united front in fight against banditry. Joint security meeting between Zamfara, Sokoto, Katsina, Kaduna, and other neighboring states. We also have a joint meeting between Zamfara state government and the military chieftain of Maradi, Niger Republic. Periodic security meeting with head of security agencies and traditional rulers in the state to review successes and challenges and strategize for greater achievement. Planning a welfare program for the victims of the banditry through our plans to establish a security trust fund to cater for widows and orphans, foundation by the first quarter of 2020. I would like to ensure you that we shall not relent on our effort toward attaining lasting peace in the state. We shall continue to explore all options and avenues to ensure a more peaceful Zamfara state where everyone goes about their legitimate concern without let or hindrance. My government also extended and spent $3.4 billion for the purchase of 200 Hilux pickup for security operation, which we have started giving the security. We also purchased security equipment, including tracking equipment, that we can track the culprit and the bandit, which we are recording a lot of successes on this equipment that we have purchased, and we are to give it to each of every local government in Zamfara State. We have 40 local government, and each local government has a station for the security equipment. We therefore call for all well-meaning Nigerians to put hands together so that we can move our country forward. This is not time for blaming ourselves or putting blames on others, but let us concentrate and face our challenges so that we can be able to achieve the goal of what we want. We thank the federal government for the support that has been given to my government in order to curtail the issue of insecurity. We therefore call the Honorable Minister of Information that next time, if you are going to do a town hall meeting, we invite you to come to Zamfara State so that we have a meeting in Zamfara so as to witness the fees that we have recorded in Zamfara State. We thank you very much. We thank all the ministers and my colleagues, the governors. We thank all the religious leaders for their continuous praying to have a lasting peace in Nigeria. We thank you all.
We thank His Excellency, the Governor of Zamfara State, for those remarks. Let's put our hands once more, ladies and gentlemen, for the Governor. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we are now going to be taking the honorable ministers who are charged with the responsibility of internal security. And the first to come to tell us what they have been doing and what he has been able to achieve so far. Permit me, ladies and gentlemen, to invite retired Major General Bashir Salihu Magashi, the present Honorable Minister of Defense, to please come forward and tell Nigerians what they have been able to achieve and what they are still doing to secure us in this country. Honorable Minister, sir.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Katsina State, the Executive Governor of Sokoto State, the Executive Governor of Zamfara State, the Deputy Governor of Katsina State, members of the National Assembly, my brother Alai Sa'idu Barda, Honorable Minister of Interior, Royal Fathers, ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind all of you that we are less than 100 days to our appointment as ministers. So forgive me if I make some errors in what I'm going to say right now. Let me begin by saying These include militancy in the Niger Delta, Boko Haram insurgency in the northeast, IPOD in the southeast, and recently, banditry in the northwest. The military, in line with her constitutional responsibility, has not only supported relevant security agencies, particularly the Nigerian police, but has also led the role of fighting these crises in order to restore and maintain peace in this country. It is pertinent to state that apart from the various individual service responses to our various internal security challenges, the Defense Headquarters, in cooperation with other relevant security agencies, currently has activated 9 joint task forces and 1 multinational joint task force. 3 of these joint task forces are in the northwest, namely Operation Hadran Daji, Operation Thunder Strike, Operation Wild Punch. All these operations are geared towards emplacing peace, security, and enabling environment for economic activities to strive. The security in the northwest has relatively been peaceful. However, in recent times, the region has been divided with issues of armed banditry, cattle rustling, and kidnapping. The issue of armed banditry and cattle rustling, which was predominantly in Zamfara, has spread to contiguous states like Sokoto, Katsina, and part of Kaduna. The spread could be attributed to the armed bandits looking for safe havens as a result of sustained military operations conducted. Nevertheless, however, the military operation has been extended to these states, that is Sokoto, Katsina, and Kaduna State. Another axis of insecurity, particularly kidnapping, is along Kaduna Road and the Kaduna-Birnin-Gwari Road. It is pertinent to state that based on the military operations and pressure mounted on the criminals, many have opted for peace deal offered by the state government, hence the current decline in the level of insecurity in this country. It is also noteworthy to state that the current 3 ongoing military operations in the northwest has mitigated the wave of cattle rustling, kidnapping, banditry, and other criminalities. One of these operations, as earlier mentioned, is Operation Wild Punch, which was activated on 1st November 2018 in Kaduna State to create a conducive and stable environment for socio-economic activities to strive. It was also to restore law and order and checkmate kidnapping and banditry along Kaduna-Birnin-Gwari axis. Accordingly, the operation has recorded a remarkable achievement since its establishment. It is worthy to note or to state that more than 54 bandits have been neutralized, various assorted weapons recovered, over 471 cows recovered and returned to the owners, as well as large number of kidnapped victims rescued to their various villages. The second operation we had is Operation Hadirin Daji, which was activated on 10th May 2019 to provide a robust and invigorated joint operation to defeat the bandits in Zamfara and its environment. The operation has equally remarkably achieved in the de-degradation and reduction in banditry, arrest of suspect bandits collaborators, recovery of over 191 various types of arms, and recover more than 13,000 ammunition, as well as recover over 7,220 rusted animals, which were returned to the owners. Other rescues include more than 100 kidnappers victims were arrested. Of 48 suspect kidnappers, and reduction in the cross-border crimes in collaboration with the Niger Republic, as well as initiating of peace process. The activities of Hadirin Daji have compelled many bandits to enter into peace deal initiated by Zamfara state government. This has been replicated by Sokoto, Katsina governments. Lastly, we have the Operation Thunder Strike, which was established also May 10, 2019, especially to curb the menace of kidnapping along Kaduna Road and its environment. Accordingly, the operation has achieved tremendous success in the arrest of over 24 bandits or kidnappers, recovery of several assorted weapons and ammunition, and most of the settled villages in the hinterland are now back to their liberated areas. Having said that, there are numerous challenges that are militating against the successful execution of the mandates of this operation in the Northwest. Some of the challenges include the following: the lack of force multipliers. Modern insurgency operations are enhanced through application of combat force multipliers, such as the use of drones, attack drones, infrared cameras, and tracking technologies. Thus, the ongoing operation would be significantly enhanced using intelligence and attack drones to support human capabilities. The Ministry of Defense is currently working out measures of acquiring these capabilities to boost our effort in the Northwest. Secondly, we have inadequate manpower. The strength of the armed forces in Nigeria is inadequate to effectively police the large expanses of land. These constitute a big hindrance to early response and intervention during the crisis. We also note that the attitude of the locals. We all know that cooperation of locals is the best intelligence a troop could have, and to effectively curb the excesses of criminalities being perpetuated by the bandits. However, the attitudes of locals toward the troops is not encouraging, despite programs by the military to win the hearts and minds of the locals in the region. Ladies and gentlemen, it is also pertinent to note that in compliance with the presidential directive to enhance the combat readiness and effectiveness of the armed forces, the Ministry of Defense has commenced and completed all necessary due process in the procurement of critical arms, ammunition, and equipment for the armed forces. These would include modern equipment, ISR, platforms
of RAF Arikwesola. To please come forward and tell Nigerians what the Interior Ministry has for us and what it has been able to do. Honorable Minister, sir.
Thank you. Auzubillahi minash shaitanir rajim. Can you help me with this? Just a little. Just a little. Thank you. Auzubillahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Wa salatu wa salamu ala ashrafil mursalin sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I recognize the governors. Most of them are my friends and brothers, though there are senior friends among them, but I must particularly and especially recognize the host governor, Right Honorable Aminu Masari. It's a pleasure. And all the others I recognize as well. I recognize the ministers who are here. I recognize the House of Rep, Chairman on Information and Culture, the Deputy Governors, particularly of Castina, the SSG of Castina, a good friend and a warm host during my last visit, members of this Castina State Executive. The representative of the IGP and other heads of security agencies, the Army, the Civil Defense, Immigration, etc., etc. I greet and recognize the good people of Castina. I came first to this place some 40 years ago when I was there for my NYC, and interestingly, I got my wife from here. We are here for a serious purpose and reason. We are here to, one, let us know that as an administration, we care, and passionately so, for the people. We know that our primary responsibility as an administration in government is to guarantee your security and promote your welfare, and to assure you that the challenges we are facing today are momentary. We are up to the task, and we shall solve those challenges. That being said, let's thank the Ministry of Information for putting this together.
NTA, you can't beat the rich.
Nigerians. Suicide bombers are not spirits. They are not ghosts. They are human beings like you and me. They live amongst us. They are your neighbors. They are your friends today, but terrorists tomorrow. So you must know your neighbor now. Security begins with you and me. Know your neighbor. Be vigilant. Be security conscious. Report suspicious persons objects and movements to the police and other security agencies. The security of our nation is a duty for you and me.
If you see something, say something. Nigeria, unite against terrorism. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.